handling of missing data. Okay. Now, what do you mean by missing data class? Let's see. Missing data, yes. And basically, missing data can occur when no information is present for one or more items or for a whole unit. For example, class in our data frame also you can see that there are particular places when it is showing NaN. Okay, so NaN basically represents that there is no data present. You can actually check the sheet also. So suppose, just a minute. Okay. So here class you can see that we don't have the data for salary column for John Holland. For John Holland, we don't have the salary data. Similarly, for Jonas Arap and Amir Johnson, okay, we don't have their college data. So here you can see in those places it is showing us NaN. Okay, it is showing us NaN in those places. So NaN is that it is basically an acronym for not a number. Okay, it is a spatial floating point value. It is a floating. It is defined as a floating number. Okay, inside pandas, floating point value recognized by all systems that use a standard IEEE floating point validation. Okay. Now, whenever there is some data, our data is there on NONE, none is mentioned, it will take automatically as NaN. Okay, so this is called as class missing data. Now, why it is a big problem, class? Anyone? Why missing data is a big problem? Why there is a separate topic for that? Anyone? What is the problem with missing data? We won't be able to do calculation. First thing, accuracy, yes, accuracy will decrease, yes. Data inconsistency, yes. Okay, because we don't have the required data, we won't have the complete data. Exactly. Okay. One more thing that the like in case of one more problem that occurs in case of your missing data is that whenever we are working, okay, now let's suppose we are working on this data frame. Okay, so let me show you quickly. I will write here df.count. So it will give us number of non-null observation. That means if I write here class length of df minus df.count, so it will give me number of null observations. Okay, so you can see 84 for 84 players we don't have the college data. Okay, now what we usually need to do is we need to get this data in percentage. So by length of df. Okay, so you can see class into 100. So you can see class approximately 18% data of the college column is missing. Okay, so in case of machine learning model later on, okay, obviously when we talk about salary, okay, so if suppose let's say this data, let's suppose we have this data for India, okay, basketball players data for India. So in that case, college column won't be playing a major role. But as far as I have seen, okay, in maybe multiple TV shows or movies or wherever, okay, I have seen that the college plays a major role in case of NBA, right? Because there are teams of colleges, right? I hope you know that. NBA basically is a National Basketball Association. Okay, for it is present in America. India में BCCI है for cricket. There might be some association for basketball also, for football also, for hockey also, for maybe badminton also. Similarly, class NBA is for basketball in America. Okay. Now, in America, like in India, people are crazy about cricket, right? There, the people are very crazy about like they like basketball majorly. Okay? So in that case, what happens? There are teams of colleges which are playing. As far as I know, I might be again I might be wrong, but as far as I know, okay, as my general knowledge goes, okay, that people there are teams from colleges which play on national and international level also. Okay, not international level as I guess I think state and national level. Okay, they play on state level and national level. Okay, from different colleges, they represent their own colleges. Getting this, everyone? Hello. So when we talk about college data, okay, so in this kind of cases, class college column basically plays a major role in the case of salary. Okay, see, class, whenever you're working on any kind of data, okay, you have to. There is one thing that is very very important. What is that? Okay, basically your target variable. Okay, obviously when you will like see when you will do analysis. Okay, so obviously you will maybe do general analysis. Okay, that is called as open-ended ADA. Okay, or you will be doing some case specific. That suppose uh, let's take this NB data set only. Okay, so your client you got this data set that you got this data set from some client. Okay, so client basically wants the target variable to be the salary data, let's say, or maybe to be the age data. Right? Okay, I want to predict the age of the player. Okay, or I want to predict the, let's say, I don't know, position of the player. Okay, that which position is best suited for this particular player based on this data. Okay, so based on what analysis you need to do, you have to choose a target variable. Suppose, let's say, class, in this case, I am choosing the target variable as salary column. Okay, salary. But target variable, what I mean is that whatever analysis we will be doing, okay, our end goal will be to analyze the salary or predict the salary, what the salary will be for a particular player, okay, if all this information we already have. Okay. Now that is what happens in case of data analysis and data science, both of them. Once you have once you have chosen the, or it will be given to you, okay, once you have chosen the target variable, so you have to analyze the impact or effect of each and every individual column on the target variable. That whether name of a player is going to affect the salary or not. Okay, team, okay, which team that person is playing from. Okay, position, okay, which age, okay, your height, weight, college, okay, whether these columns individually are going to affect the salary of a player or not, okay, we have to analyze that. So in that case, suppose class, let's say you can see here as 18% of the college data is missing. So when you feed this data to a machine learning model, since there is a lot of missing data, so what will happen? That the analysis or the prediction that will happen in machine learning model won't be accurate. There will be very less accuracy in case of ML model because it will just not get 18% of data to analyze things, to understand things, to learn from the data. When we say that machine learning learns from data, so most important thing is what? Data, right? Obviously. Okay, and you're not giving that sufficient. You're not giving sufficient data to the machine. So in that case, it will create problems in the later scenario. Now, there are plus multiple options that we can do. First option is plus one option is fill in. Fill in means fill the data with some calculated random values. They will be random, but we will calculate them on the basis of some criteria. Okay. Second thing is drop in. These two options are there, class. Okay. Drop in, that is your drop the column or row having the missing data. Let me show you, class. What we usually do, suppose let's say I'm going on data frame. Okay. So in this case, we have to focus when we talk about handling of missing data. So we have to focus on these two columns. So for now, you can ignore rest of the columns. Okay, ignore the rest of the columns. Just focus on college and salary. Now see one thing here, class. Let's say I'm taking the salary column as the target variable. Okay. Let's say I'm analyzing by taking the salary column as the target variable. So in that case, what do you think will I do? I will fill the data in the salary, I'm talking about salary column now. Okay, I will fill the data with some random value, or I will drop the entire column, or I will drop those rows, okay, in which the salary data is missing. What do you think we will do? We will fill the data with some random value, drop the entire salary column, or drop those rows in which the salary data is missing. No. See, there is now again, there is no thumb rule for this. Okay, there is no thumb rule for this. It can differ from data scientist to data scientist, completely different. It is totally up to you whether what you want to do. Okay. Like there are some practices that you follow in the industry, but that you will learn over time. Plus, those practices are majorly dependent on the type of data, also length of data, how big the data is. Okay, how many columns are there? Okay, then which sector are we dealing with? Suppose that this is sports data, right? So based on that, also there are different practices that we follow in the industry. But again, those practices are more of a trend. Okay, they are not a thumb rule. They are not. They are not. They are not coming from a calculated like thing. It completely depends. There are multiple factors on which this thing is dependent on. Now, first thing, obviously, I won't drop the salary column. Why? Because I'm taking the salary column as my target variable. So obviously, I won't drop my target variable. So I won't drop the entire salary column. Okay. Second option is fill NA. Okay, I will fill the data with some calculated random value. So in that case, class, in case of salary column, okay, whenever we talk about dropping the data, dropping the rows or filling the rows, okay, for something of a salary for a target variable. Okay, so you have to be very cautious in that case. Okay, if you fill the data randomly, completely randomly, sometimes what we do, one option that we follow is, let me show you. Let me show you a simple data frame first. A is equal to PD dot data frame. I created some data frame yesterday also. No? Let us take different thing class. Now see, we have this data frame with us. Now what I'm going to do is, okay, first I'm showing you fill NA. Okay, how fill NA works. Suppose if I write here a dot fill NA. Okay, wait. I'm just creating a copy of this. Sorry, PD dot a dot this is the B data frame. I will write a class B dot fill NA. Suppose let's say I'm putting 0. Let's say, just for the sake of explaining, 0 comma in place equal to true. Okay. So this class, wherever there was null data, it is filling 0 there. Wherever there is null data. Okay, let me show you another example. Suppose let's say I want to fill data only on the like, TS column. Okay, so I can do what? C dot TS dot fill NA 0. Or let's suppose one more thing we can do is C dot TS dot mean. Okay, mean data of the TS column only. I'm not calculating the mean of all of them, just the TS column. Okay. Also round out the data to decimal places in place equal to true. Okay. So you can see rest of the data is NN only, but just in the your TS column, null data got filled up by average. Okay, mean data of all of them. Then plus suppose I have to do this on the entire data set. See, suppose class, let's say I write a dot mean. So I'll get three output, a series output, okay, having three indices, FS, SS, TS. It will give us the mean data of all three of them individually. Okay. So what I will do class here, I'm writing C dot mean, D dot mean. Okay. So what Python will do in this case, it will put the mean value of FS column in the null value of the FS column, mean value of SS in the null value of SS, okay, and mean value of TS in the null value of TS. Okay. Sorry, this should be T. Got this class, everyone? So in that case, you have to do that individually, Mahesh. Okay. Each column, whichever column you want to do, you have to do them individually. You are just not getting this one. Okay, that's it. You have not practiced. That is the only thing. Suppose if I write here a dot ts dot mean, so I'll get this. I will get this big number. So what I've done is simply round off this. So I get 37. Okay, but I don't want to completely round off, so I have written comma 2. So that round off to 2 decimal places. Understood this now? Okay. So that is class what happens in case of your fill NA. You can basically totally up to you what value you want to put. If you want to put a particular value, you can mention it directly. Okay, or you can do some calculation, and based on that, Mahesh, I think you can do that using for loop. Then you can run a loop on those columns on which you want to do the modification. Data as in NBA file. I'm not getting a Abhishek. Can you share data? How will I share a variable? Like share where? So this is what you can do, class. Achha, one more thing that we do, class, here in this kind of cases, na, instead of, suppose, let's say there is salary column. Okay. Now I cannot just go out and random data in the salary column wherever I want to. No. Okay, what I need to do, class, I need to basically specify, or I have to be as close. Okay, suppose, class, tell me one thing. When I'm handling missing data, okay, when I'm filling up the data in a particular column or a particular cell or particular row, wherever, okay, so is it possible for me to be 100% fill up 100% accurate data? Because I don't know the salary, no? So I won't be able to mention 100% accurate data. But what we can do is, class, we can see some trend. We can try to find out some trend in the data set. How? How? Suppose, class, let's say I want to see that, okay, what is the mean salary of the players playing from the Boston Celtics position. Okay? It is possible, not that the players uh, who are playing from Boston Celtics are having the highest salary, who are playing from the Utah Jazz team, okay, are having the lowest salary. It is possible, right? Salary can be dependent on team also, right? So we have to understand the trend. Okay, there are like you have to do separate analysis for that. You have to categorize the entire data set into different columns and calculate their mean salary. Okay, once it is done, okay, then you have to see if there is any trend or not. If there is a trend, okay, you saw that a person playing from Boston Celtics, all the players are having very high salaries. So now there is a possibility that this person also, John Holland, also will have a very high salary. So in that case, that's what you will do. Instead of calculating the average of the entire salary column, we'll calculate the average just for the Boston Celtics team. Okay, that is where your group by operations comes in. I will explain in a while. Okay, we will calculate the mean salary of only those players who are playing from the Boston Celtics team. And for whichever player we don't have the salary data, for Boston Celtics, we'll put the mean of Boston Celtics only in those players. Similarly, basically mean of each team, okay, on the missing data of that team. Got this, class? Understood this thing, class, or not? So we can be more accurate. We can be more accurate as much as possible. We can be more close to the correct value. Obviously, we cannot say what, like, if it is a correct value or not. But again, one more thing that we can do. Let's suppose, okay, there is something called as, I will explain. Let me quickly show you also. Okay, suppose let's say df data frame is here. Okay, so what I can do, I can write df.core. Okay. So core basically, class, what it does, just a minute. Okay. So core is basically, class, what it does, it gives us a correlation matrix. Okay. See, this is the correlation matrix. A correlation matrix is a square matrix, class, showing the correlation coefficients between two variables. Correlation coefficients measure how strong and in which direction two variables are linked in a straight line. Okay. A correlation matrix is a statistical technique that shows the relationship between two variables in a data set. Okay, that means here, class, these numbers are basically representing how two columns are dependent on each other. Suppose, let's say, you can see this one. I'm not saying the data is correct, Jayavardhan. I'm saying that we will be like, what other option we have? Either I can drop the entire column, or I can drop those rows, or I can fill up missing data. Okay. So fill up missing data is better. Why? Because if you drop the entire column, okay, you will lose the entire column. See, dropping the entire column, class, only comes in handy when that column doesn't hold very, like, significant like correlation in the data set. First thing, or okay, first reason, or second reason is that even though it holds a very high correlation, but a lot of data is missing for that column. Suppose let's say that's right now. Earlier we saw that okay, how much missing data is there for each and every column, right? We saw that here in terms of percentage. Okay, in terms of percentage, we read all these things. Okay, for all the columns. Now suppose let's say class position column is there. You know, tell me class whether is position column relevant for us in terms of salary? Is the position from which the player is playing from going to impact their salary or not? Okay, let's assume that it is not going to impact as such. Okay, it will, but not by a major factor, right? Okay, very small impact will be there. So in that case, suppose let's say in the position column, let's say 25% of the data is missing. Okay, so try to understand this. If by mistake, whatever data you're putting in that, whatever data you're filling up in those 25% of the missing data values, okay, in those places, whatever data you put, okay, by some reason, okay, your correlation increases. Okay, obviously, when it is calculating the correlation here, so it is calculating correlation based on the existing data, right? The data that you already have, or in other words, non-null data. Suppose you fill up that 25% data in the position column, okay, and correlation increases. Okay, will that be correct or not? Will be incorrect, now. No, it is not a better. No, no, no. High correlation doesn't mean better data set. Try to understand. When I'm see earlier the correlation was less. After filling the data, correlation increased. So what is the meaning of that? Either the values given by us are so wrong that it is taking us in a direction which seems right but is actually wrong. Are you getting this point or not, class? You will start thinking that higher correlation means that there is more dependencies between the two columns. We are manipulating the data. Yes. So manipulating the data, okay, it will show कि अच्छा, whatever manipulation or whatever filling the data or whatever you have done in the entire data set, the data was wrong. Why? Earlier the correlation was less. Now it is high. How it is possible? Are you getting this thing, class, or not? Getting this thing or not? Okay, so in this kind of cases, what we do, because I already know that position column is not relevant to me as such. It is, but not as such. Okay. And 25%, 25% again is very big number. Okay, 25% of the entire data set is missing. So in that case, I will drop the entire position column. I will drop the entire position column because I know position column is not relevant to me. Okay, but again, it depends how much data of the position column is like actually missing. It is not just about the 25%, but 25% of what? Suppose class right now, how much data do we have? We have around 457 rows. Okay, now 25% of 457 is not much. Okay, that is all right. Okay, not much. But again, 75% of 457 is also not much. The problem with that is that when you will try to feed this data, let's suppose 457 का कितना हो गया 25%, let's suppose somewhere around it will be around 315, okay, 315. Okay, so 315 data is there, still there. 315 rows for the position column is still there. Now tell me, are 315 rows sufficient for a machine learning to train itself? No, right? Suppose if I give you 315 questions in Python, will that be sufficient for you to master Python? Mahesh, you can master Python by 315 questions. I am saying master. When you say master, that means you are a master of that, right? You're an expert in that field. You have to do a lot of questions, then you will be able to like say that, okay, now I'm confident in Python. Okay. Right now, whatever questions you have done are not sufficient. Try to understand this class. On a fresher level, they might be sufficient. Okay, but you are not expert at all. Okay, in any way, no. Okay. You might be expert with the concepts, but there will be a lot of questions, literally a lot of questions in which you will get stuck. Okay. Now 315 data records won't be sufficient. Okay. So in that case, you have to understand class that 25% of how much is missing. Suppose let's say I have 10,000 data records and 25% of data is missing in that case. So what I will do in that case, I will drop the rows maybe. Okay, or I will fill no. In that case, I will better is to fill up the data. Okay, why? Because I still have 75% data, or in other words, I still have 75 what 10,000 so I still have 7,500 data records still. Okay, in order to feed the machine learning algorithm. Are you getting this class, everyone, or not? So what, like I said earlier, there is no thumb rule. Okay, there is no, you won't find any rule book what to do in which case. No, it completely depends on your intuition. In like depends on your experience what to do in a particular scenario. I'm just giving you some ideas. Okay, acha ki in this kind of cases we do this, in this kind of cases we do this. But again, that is not a thumb rule. That is not necessary that you will follow the same approach what I'm explaining in each and every scenario. Okay. If interviews goes well for theoretical, but coding part not goes well, then there are chances for collection for selection. In most of the companies, your coding part will come first or second or third round. Your interview will be last round. If your coding part is not going good, how you will reach the interview round? Right? Interview round mostly comes at the end. Last round is your interview round. Okay, so that's the thing, class. Also, it depends. Obviously, it is complete. It depends on company to company. Where company to company also, plus it depends also on how many candidates are applying for a particular position. If there are more number of candidates, the company might basically keep a separate coding round and then interview round later on, just to filter out the candidates. The number of candidates applying for it is less, so yeah, then they might take them together during the interview only. For data science, though, yes, you are right. Coding part is mostly taken during the interview only. So they don't take it separately for data science or data analysis. For software development, majorly, yes, there is a separate coding part, coding round. You got selected. Did you got like you got selected or not, Ryan? Because I don't know yet. What I do, okay, you might like judge me for this, okay, but what I do in the interviews mostly, he usually in the starting I ask mostly coding questions. Okay, obviously depending on the like candidate also, but most of the scenarios, okay, because Obviously, theory is important. Okay, but again, there are multiple factors in this also. Okay, like for which position we are hiring for, and for which do we have the project, like we have already got the project from the client, or we are creating a pool. Okay, we are still waiting for the project also. So it depends on that. How urgent hiring is that. Okay, so it depends on that also. So in most of the scenarios, okay, what I do is I usually ask coding questions, okay, in the starting, and based on that I like control the flow of the interview. Okay, so like why I'm saying this, okay, because like what happens because of this. Okay, like let me give an instance. Okay, uh, there was a candidate earlier. Okay, so his resume was good. Okay, like with respect to Python and data analysis, good resume. Okay, fresher level. Okay, but good resume. Okay, sufficient information, like sufficient projects, sufficient certifications. Okay, sufficient your intensive experience was there. Okay, it was a fresher level. So what happened? I knew that he knows coding from the resume. He knows coding. Okay, but when in the starting, the interview started, I asked him, okay, introduce yourself. Okay, so he said like, okay, whatever. Like he took 2-3 minutes, whatever. Okay, to explain, introduce himself. Okay, then from the introduction, I got to know he might be not as confident as such. Okay, he knows coding, that is relevant from the ways explaining his projects, okay, or the ways talking about his past intensive experience, okay. But I was not very sure about the this how good he is in the coding part. So in that case, what I did, I gave him a very, it was a simple question, but it was a conceptual question. Okay, like basically he has to remember some specific concepts in order to work on that coding question. Okay, he took around what, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes. Okay, he gave me a code. Okay, I asked him to share his screen, open Notepad, and write the code in front of me only. Okay, it took 4, 5 minutes. Okay, he gave me a code. Okay, I asked him a simple question. There was a very small mistake in that code, very small mistake. I asked him but the problem was that he was like, I asked him to write the code in Notepad. Okay, so there was a small mistake. Okay, he was not able to run the code. He didn't know that whether the code will run or not. Okay, I asked him a very simple question that Saurabh, will this code run? Okay, so he said yes. Okay, like within 2 seconds, he said yes. I asked him again, are you sure? Okay, so now when I asked him, are you sure? Okay, that is where he was like, it's a weather. Okay, I am not very sure about that. Okay, he took around again 1 minute and asked, he said that yes, so the code will work. Okay, I literally asked him to send me the code. I copied the code and showed him that it is not working. Okay, simple, straightforward. All of you got till here, right? Now, from there onwards, the interview, okay, he was good. Okay, but from there onwards, the interview just went downhill. Why? Because just because of that, he knew that that was a simple question. I knew that was a simple question. Okay, I asked him, "Are you sure about your solution?" He said yes, and just because of that, yes, okay, his confidence, like he lost all his confidence from there onwards. Are you getting my point, class? What kind of problems happen in the interview? And this is very normal in the interviews. And for in my scenario, the problem, the interviews that I take, the problem with that is that the first thing that I check is that if you know something, you must be confident about that. Okay, even if you don't know, that is fine. Okay, I'm not asking you that you should know everything. Okay, that is completely fine. Okay, like there can be 100 things. Okay, you might know only 60 of them. That is also possible. Okay, I am not saying that there are 100 concepts, so I know all of them. Okay, even after some years of experience, I cannot say that I know 100% of the concepts in data science. Okay, I can say that I know 60 or I know 70 or I know 80 or whatever. Okay, I don't know what all of them, but whatever I know that completely 100%. I know 50 concepts, that, but I am expert in those 50 concepts. Okay, that is what I usually check. Okay, when you're showing this much of experience, this much of intensive experience, when you're showing this much of projects, so in that case, that should that then your expertise should be reflected in your confidence also. Are you getting my point? So this is what happens in class in your interviews. So you have to be prepared for multiple things. Siddesh, I will respond. Just give me a minute or two. Sorry, not a minute. Give me a day or two. Okay. Actually, I was outside the whole day for yesterday, so I think I will explain. There's still a requirement for ML and data science. Mahesh, tell me one thing. Okay, whether to drop this data or not. Okay, or fill up this data. Okay, is it possible for AI to do this? No. That's the primary reason we say that AI cannot replace a data analyst or a data scientist. Okay, because the type of learning that we do with AI, okay, is not sufficient enough, okay, for it to analyze the data. It can analyze obviously on a very basic level, okay, but when we need to go in depth, when we need to work on very specific scenarios, okay, plus right now what happens in most of the data sets, okay, and the primary reason why data analysis or data science field is increase the requirement for that is increasing at a very fast rate in the industry. Why is that? Because right now the world is at a very unstable stage. Okay? So the type of data that we get is not predictable. Okay, so in that case, you need human expertise also, or the type of experience that humans have. Like for example, let's say I'm analyzing this data. Okay, so I know from my experience that uh, having a good height is relevant in case of basketball. Okay, it is not a very, I'm not saying it is a very major factor, but it is an important factor. Okay, I'm not saying that everything is dependent on the height only. Okay, but a lot of things are dependent on height in case of basketball, that I know. Okay, so now this kind of experience or information AI won't have. You cannot try to understand it. You cannot code, or you cannot give each and you cannot explain each and everything to AI. Okay, AI is not yet, I would say, it is still in its younger, like it is still young. It is still a baby right now. Okay? Younger phase basically, or I would say baby phase, still a baby phase. It is still what I think at least 50, 100 years are still there. But again, it is again after 50, 100 years, again it will be in young phase only. Okay, you can what type of learning that we do in our entire life, or for let's say 20, 30 years. Okay, that type of learning, if you want to give the same learning to AI, that will literally take 30 years of human learning. Okay, for to give that kind of learning to AI, you need hundreds of years, literally. Okay, because the type of experience that we have, including the uh, emotions, our intuitions, AI cannot like assume now. We sometimes assume based on our, like we said that there is a gut feeling. I have an intuition. AI cannot do that. AI is always dependent on facts. Okay, and in order to work on facts, it needs a lot of facts. Plus, those facts should be consistent. Okay, and consistency is not something that we get in real life data. Getting this task or not? If you want to do interview practice for NumPy pandas, okay, or for Python also, only thing that I say is class work on projects. That's the only option that you have. work on projects as much as possible on all three of them. NumPy, so obviously you cannot make any separate project on NumPy, but you can use NumPy in your projects. So let's come back class here. Okay, fill in all of you understood. Next is class. Fill in. So, fill in there is a very small thing also. So let's say class E is equal to df dot copy. Okay. Now, suppose I write here class fill NA. Now there is something called as method is equal to bfill. Basically, backward fill. It will fill backwards. Array. See this class. Okay. This is your E. I'm not using impossible true, so that is why it is not showing. Let's see. Backward fill. Getting this class, everyone? Okay, here it is still showing NaN because there is no data here. For this class, bfill. Okay, it will fill backward basically. Similarly, there is one more thing. Yes, okay. Okay, ffill is also there called as forward fill. Okay, so you can see it is going forward in this case. Mean is better than bfill, right? No, Ranjit, it depends on the data. Okay, if you feel that your data is categorized, okay, it's spread in a categorized manner, then yes, mean is better in that case because you can do category wise mean. The Boston Celtics का अलग mean हो गया. Okay, for Boston Celtics separate mean, for New York Knicks separate mean. Okay, so in that case mean is better. Okay, but when you know that, let's say the data is maybe present in a sorted manner. Okay, or let's say we know that the data is like slowly increasing or decreasing. Sorted हो गया. Okay, or we know that the data is present in a particular manner in terms of, let's say, your first 10 data records are present for a player who is of age 19. Okay, then next is age 20, then next is age 21, then next is age 22, and so on. So in that case, your bfill or ffill will work better because right now I'm assuming that your age column is a very important factor in terms of salary because of the experience. Got this? So you cannot say mean or median or mode or anything or any any way for this particular thing. Okay, is the best way or a better way? No, it completely depends on what kind of information, in what manner your entire data set is arranged. Clear class? Yes. What other about the top and most topmost and bottommost you can ignore or you can fill up them directly, no? There is something called as replace. I will explain you in a while. There is a replace method also. You can use replace for them. So Imran, you can use that, no? In that case. Class, instead of doing this, use this. E dot F fill or E dot B. 'V. 'Fill. 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 Class, this is fill and so there is one more thing. Suppose let's say we have this e data with us, okay, and I want to replace. Okay, there is something called as replace. Okay, replace you can use normally also. Suppose let's say I'm using e dot replace. Let's say I want to replace this 35. Wherever there is 35 in the entire data set, I want to replace that with something else. So let's say I will write e dot replace 35, comma. Let's say I want to replace it with 100. So you can see I have not used in place equal to true, but I will get this output. In order to make them in the same data frame, do the changes in the same data frame, you have to do place equal to true. If you want to do in some particular column, then you can mention the column name e dot fs dot replace. Just like I showed you with fill and name, same thing you can do here also replace. Now suppose let's say null data is there. So what I can do, class, in case of null data, this is your e, okay, and I will write here np dot na. So wherever there is null data, it will put 100. Clear, class? Clear, class, everyone? So that is the fill and replace. Next thing, Rohit, you cannot do that. That is what I said. Now you have to either use replace or do it manually. Using B fill and F fill, you cannot do that. You cannot do that using them. That also you can do. Yes. B fill में Imran, it goes backwards. See, it will go backwards while filling up the data. See, यहाँ पर ये पीछे चला गया ना. See here. Got this? Basically, the current position will be filled by the next data. Got it? In B fill, the current position will be filled by the next data that is coming. And in F fill, it will get filled up by the previous data. Understood? Okay. So that is their class. X is your drop NA. Okay. Suppose E is there. So what you can do, class, simply E dot drop NA. Okay. So if you simply write drop NA, class, what it will do, it will drop all the rows. By default, drop NA will remove rows only, class. Drop NA will drop all the rows wherever there is missing data. Wherever there is missing data, it will drop all those rows. Okay. One more thing that you can do is, suppose you want to drop the data with respect to a particular column, let's say FS. You don't care about the null missing data of SS and TS, but you want to drop all those rows in which FS data is missing. Drop the rows in which FS data is missing. So which row will be dropped, class, in this case? Which row will be dropped in this case? One, right? Okay, if you don't mention the subset, it will take all the columns. It will drop based on all the columns. You can drop on the basis of particular column also, or you can give a list also. If you want to, if there are multiple columns, you can give a list. That will also Or suppose class, let's say, let me show you something. Say here. We have C. Now you can see class in the TS column. In the TS column, there is no null data, right? So I can write here E dot drop NA. I told you, it will, by default, it will drop rows. Okay, but I can write here. इसके अंदर axis होगा मेरे ख्याल से. See, it's x is equal to 0. It means rows. Okay, but what you can do, x is equal to 1. So now it will drop those. It will drop those columns in which null data is there. You can see FS and SS null data, right? So it is dropping them completely. By default, it will drop rows. X is equal to 0. Here plus. Got till here? Getting the difference between drop and drop NA. Drop NA is dependent on null values. When you use a drop function, so drop function is basically just you can drop any column. There is no criteria in that. You just have to mention the column you want to drop. In case of the drop function, drop method. Drop NA works on missing data. Clear class till here or not? Class. So class, let's move on onwards. Next is class your filtering. Okay. Filtering in pandas. Suppose class, let's say we have this JF data frame with us. Now, what I want to do is suppose I want to take out all those players from the data set who are playing from the Boston Celtics team. Okay, I want to filter out them. Okay, who are for which the team is Boston Celtics. What I will do, I will write a df indexing df. Okay, this is class done using. We will already covered this in array also. This is called as Boolean array. Indexing. We'll use this class method. How? df dot team is equal to Boston Celtics. You can see class it is creating a separate data frame in which all the players, you can store it also. Okay, let's say dfbc is equal to this. So we got a separate data frame of all the players who are playing from Boston Celtics position. Okay, similarly, you can apply it in any column. Suppose class, let's say I want those players whose age is less than 25. So df dot age less than 25. See, it is giving me 154 players who are less than 25 years of age. Got this class, everyone? Got this class? Okay. Now suppose class, let's say you want those players of Boston Celtics. You need those players of Boston Celtics, okay, who are playing, who are more than, who are less than 25. So put a bracket here. This is the first filter. Second is first condition. Okay. We don't use the AND operator. Here we use bitwise AND. Okay. df dot age is less than 25. So it will give only those players who are satisfying both the conditions, because we are putting an AND operator here. Bitwise AND operator. Okay. So players from Boston Celtics of less than 25 years of age. Let's say you need less than 22, let's say. No worries, no. You have to mention df.team because it is using a comparison operator, no? It is comparing Boston Celtics with each and every element individually of the team column. Okay. And df.age more than 35. So what will I get class in the output? Because I see df.age and df.team. These are two separate columns. Na? Tell me, Shashank, do we need to apply? Are we doing ending between the columns or the elements of the columns? Are we applying AND operator on the columns or on the elements of the columns? Elements, right? So in that case, we use bitwise operator. Bit by bit, row by row, element by element. If you use AND, okay, so it will give you error. Why? Because AND operator will apply that between these two columns, and where there is, it doesn't make sense, na? You cannot end two columns, right? What will the output of this class? Will give you nothing, right? Because AND operator is there. A player cannot be less than 25 and more than 35 at the same time. Okay? But I can use OR operator. So those players who are either less than 25 or more than 35. Got this class? Okay. So that is your filtering. So there is one more thing in this. Yeah. So this thing is giving us all the players playing from Boston Celtics teams. If you're at not equal to, it will give you all other players. Okay, from other teams, obviously. Okay, not from Boston Celtics teams. Okay, so that is class basically your filtering. Okay, you can take you can apply filter, and then based on that you can do whatever processing you need to do. Next is class group by operations in pandas. Okay, let us cover this also. Small topic. Group can be applied more than two conditions. Any number of conditions, but you have to use AND or operator, no? AND or operator. Any number of conditions you can use. Next is class group by operations in pandas. Now, what are group by operations? Okay, group by operations means that suppose let's say I want to apply some operation on individual groups. Okay, suppose let's say class I told you, let's say I want team wise mean of the salary column. Suppose I want to see that how much money the players from Brooklyn Nets, how much salary average salary, what is the mean salary of the players from Brooklyn Nets, mean salary of players from Utah Jazz, mean salary of players from Boston Celtics. From each and every team, I need the mean salary. So what I can do, class, in that case, DF is the entire data frame. I will write DF dot group by on the basis of team column. Okay. Then I will write here dot salary dot mean. Okay. So here you can see, guys, it is giving us team wise salary. So this is the main salary of the players from Atlanta Hawks team, and so on for all of them. Let's say max. So this is the max salary of each of the player of each team. Maximum salary. So see, we can see the maximum salary we're getting from Los Angeles Lakers. So now suppose class, let's say I want to compare the maximum also, mean also, and minimum also. So if there are multiple things that we want to apply, so in that case, what you can do, you can use the aggregate function. How? This thing dot aggregate, and here I will pass a list. I need min, I need max, and I need mean. Min is not an inbuilt function, so I can put quotes there. The functions that I want to apply. C class. For all the players, we get this. We can do by is equal to, okay. Suppose let's say I want to sort based on the minimum. Okay. So based on minimum column, we are sorting the entire data set. Clear class, everyone? Are you getting this class or not? This one. Okay. AGG basically means aggregate. different functions. And here we are sorting them also. By basically means that on the basis of main column we want to sort that. There is a rank function directly, Amar. Clear class so far? Clear? Rank I have not used as such. No. I'll get back to you on this. I have to check once. How it is calculating rank, I have to check it once. Clear class so far? Everyone clear so far? Now one more thing class that we can do is, let's say the data frame is there. So let's say I want to apply something on the, let's say I want to analyze the salary column. Okay. But with respect to group by, with respect to different teams. Okay, dot describe. Okay, see what it is doing. It is categorizing them with respect to different teams and then applying describe on the salary column. This same thing plus if you do it using this manner, same thing. Okay, here I am just applying group by first and then taking out the salary column and then applying this thing. Just a minute, Amar. Here I am taking out the salary column first and then applying group by on the with respect to this. Okay, the benefit of this class is, okay, in this manner now, if suppose let's say there are two separate data frames and you want to apply the group by on the basis of some other data frame, so you can control that also. This. Okay, now let us say, let's say there are multiple, on the basis of multiple columns you want to do something. Let's say team column also and position column also. So give a list here. See, first team and then position. Obviously, that will not work. Why? Reason being, when you write df.salary, okay, so you're applying group by on which data set? You're applying group by on which data set? No, you're applying group by. Group by method is being applied on which data set? Which data you're applying? No, you're applying it on df.salary. df.salary the series, no, separately. You're taking out the salary column separately is in series, and on top of that, what you're doing, you're applying the group by. Are you getting this class or not? If you don't mention the team, see, if you don't mention df, you just mention team, so why it is showing error here? Key error. Why? Because series is a cell. This df.salary is series, right? There is no concept of team. There is no column as a team in this case. Are you getting this class or not? Understood? So that is why I have to mention separately what this team is basically coming from df data frame. Then it will work. Understood everyone or not, class?